Alright, y'all, welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. I got another one for you today. This is the Tepe Designs. This is the TS134, also known as the Shockwave. And yes, as you can see, this is probably not the first incarnation of this design, as it's in walnut burl wood and 14C28 in steel. Whereas the initial version of this was in titanium and M390, and it was a frame lock. So, a little bit of difference going on there, but all the dimensions and everything else is, exactly the same. So, yeah, this is the version I have. I don't have the titanium version, and I will go into a little bit more on kind of why that is in a second here. But, yeah. So this is pretty typical for the way that a lot of Tepe designs look. Not necessarily that TS128, that little tiny dynamo thing that we looked at, but a lot more of his designs kind of harken a little bit to this. We do have that deep carry clip. Yeah, they do have the round screw heads, unfortunately. We got a interesting brown G10 backspacer there, and we do have a hidden lanyard sort of thing going on there. I like them doing this a little bit more than just drilling a hole in a knife. It kind of just keeps this a little bit cleaner. And that way, for those people who actually do want to use a liner with a folding knife, well, hey, there you go. You can see that this guy does have what I would call shadow boxed liners, or the liners are slightly proud. You can kind of see, yeah, they do stick up a little bit, so the wood does not come to the edge, both on the top or the bottom there. That's actually not my super favorite for a lot of knives. This one doesn't seem to be too bad with it though, since they did keep the amount that the liners are proud to minimum. But yeah, we have fairly nice, not quite crowned, but certainly rolled over spine here. Very comfortable. We got the knife here, and yeah, we have a finger choil, and it is quite deep, as you can see. It's still maybe just a little tiny bit too small for my exact preference, but, most of the time I don't use my finger choils anyway, so there's that. Yeah, so we can see this is Tepe Design. There's his insignia there. We got 14C28N for the steel, and pretty much all Tepe designs are actually all numbered. This one right here is actually number 80. Hooray! So, yeah, pretty much one of the first batches of these. I don't know how many more that they might or might not want to do, but yeah, that's kind of neat for what it's worth there. We have, it's not very aggressive for the jumping going on here, but certainly enough to serve that job of using the flipper tab. You can also do your spidey flick. And since this is a liner lock, much easier to actually use that hole as a thumb hole for kind of deploying them. Not quite as easy as a full round hole like a Spyderco kind of thing, but very serviceable. And yeah, you can flick it out with your thumb, but you have to go out instead of up, which is a little different for me. I'm not exactly super comfortable doing that, just because that's not the way my muscle memory has formed over the years. But yeah, we got walnut burl wood. Super nice and detailed. They didn't really do much in the way of finishing or staining it. So this is pretty much just raw wood going on here. And you'll see that kind of on the other side of the scales. And, it is stabilized, so, it's not going to shrink or crack or do anything crazy on you. But, yeah, it's not exactly the most durable material on the planet. But, man, it does look nice. Like a nice quilted maple top on a guitar or something like that. But, yeah. This guy has about a 3.5 finger grip for me personally, so someone with more normal sized hands, this would be perfectly fine for you. That's not to say that this isn't super comfortable for me in my hand. It does a pretty darn good job. This deep carry pocket clip is a little bit more of an afterthought, as this wasn't originally designed with it in mind. So it is kind of a little bit thick in the back there as you grab onto it. So something you'll notice. It's probably a little bit of a hot spot, but unless you're really doing a lot of hard use with this thing all the time, it's really not going to end up bothering you. So yeah, that's kind of what we got going on the exterior here. Unfortunately, at the very, very end here, you can actually touch the blade. Not so much here, it's just, if they were to take the spacer and put it a little bit further, or, kind of grind that blade down a little bit or whatever, that wouldn't happen. But, yeah, that is something that you can get. But it's only basically like the first half inch or so that's really going to be an issue for you. That also does kind of go back to the titanium version as well. So it's not inherent to this design, it's inherent to this model. And we have, plenty of cutout and a little scallop and everything on the liner there. Makes it super, super easy for closing all the time. Never have any problems with that whatsoever. So yeah, let's go ahead and do some measurements. I just recently had to replace my dang battery in my calipers, because this thing has the horrible habit of, if you bump it or whatever, turns on, and sometimes doesn't like to turn off. So it will just eat up all them batteries. So yeah, I will go ahead and measure the blade like so. And it really would need to actually be zeroed out correctly. Alright, so yeah, it's essentially here from the end, just a hair under 3 inches. We got 2.97. So, if you are in an area where under 3-inch laws apply to you, this one will do you. Let's see about thickness. Yeah, about 0.59 almost of an inch. So not the thinnest thing in the world, but yeah, that does have to do with the scales not being perfectly flat. They do have a little bit of contour going on there. Makes it a little comfortable, more comfortable, I think. And yeah, for me personally, I don't necessarily mind things being a little bit thicker. But yeah, some people certainly do really appreciate that. And for that, frame locks and everything make a little bit more sense than a liner lock, because, well, you have only one piece that you really need to do over there. So the titanium version of this is a little bit thinner, not by, a gigantic margin, but a little bit. And let's see, how about the blade stock thickness? I usually do that from the flipper tab here. And yeah, we got 3.8 millimeters essentially. I bumped it just a little tiny smidge there, but yeah, 3.8 millimeters. So not exactly, a slip joint slicing juggernaut, but, very reasonable. It's not like a 4 millimeter blade or anything like that. So this is a pretty good stock thickness for a lot of everyday tasks. Now it's got kind of an interesting upsweep to the grind here. So it's like a high flat grind, but at an angle a little bit. So that's a little interesting. Not the first knife that I've seen that does that, but yeah, it is a little bit interesting. Does add a little difference to the blade overall. And because, you got your finger choil there that goes out to the blade, you have many, many, many nice years of sharpening ahead of you where it won't actually affect the end of the blade there. So, hooray! What if I go ahead and get some weights and stuff out the way? Let's go to ounces first, because that's what I like. Okay, yeah, so just a hair over 3.7 ounces, or about 105 grams. So, pretty darn light. Right, so yeah, we have arrived at the point in which I like to go ahead and take these guys down so we can see kind of what's inside of them, make them tick, and all that sort of good stuff. We got a nice channel for the wood in there. There was a little piece of fluff or whatnot in there, but yeah, you can certainly see that one of the pocket clip holes is kind of the bolt that goes through that sort of thing. So, yep. So we got this guy coming out here. I have not applied any Loctite to that yet. Usually I do that when I first get a lot of TwoSuns because they do not come with Loctite on basically anything. And it's not, 100% necessary, but it is nice. So yeah, you can see the scale here, and then yeah, the other side is a little bit more. You can see the milling lines. They didn't really bother to sand and polish it up, but you can see that it's not just a stupid, tiny little veneer on top of chipboard or anything stupid like that. So yeah, we got a little bit of weight relieving there, not a whole lot, but they've made an effort. You got the ceramic bearing going on in there. And yeah, speaking of ceramic bearings, there we go in their nylon cages here. We have internal blade stop pin to the blade here. And to my happiness, they've kept the pivot back far enough that they keep this line here at the front. Now, certainly another reason that they probably wanted to do that is wood isn't exactly the most, durable material. So if they didn't have that there, the very front of that could be just a little bit brittle. But still, I do like that for, that little extra bit that's not, a giant gaping maw of sucking up pocket lengths and everything like that. So yeah, we got the little G10 backspacer here. And, yep, quite a considerable amount of weight relieving going on here on the back scale, which is super cool. Yep, we got that guy going there, and we have the scale kind of being pinned right there in the center. So, pretty well constructed overall. I can't really complain about much of anything. Outside of what tends to happen to these guys, but very much not exclusive to TwoSun, is that sometimes these pens are just a little tiny bit loose, so they can rattle just a little tiny bit when they're closed and whatnot. They're by no means the worst offenders of that. For me, that's probably Boker with their Kalashnikovs. But, it doesn't affect anything. And I've mentioned it in the past, if you do actually want to fix that, kind of for these things, you would basically put like a little tiny bit of cotton on either side of that. You can take just a little tiny amount from a Q-tip or something like that, stuff it on the top of there, and it will, of course, increase the width of that pen just a little bit, but also give a little cushion on that side. So that kind of cures that if that's something that bothers you and it's affecting whatever knife that you're looking at the moment. But yeah, this is something that I've noticed with a lot of Tepe's designs is, a lot of his designs are really focused on standard or, modest size. I still messed up there. Okay. Yeah, to, standard to modest hand sizes. So this guy is just a little tiny bit shorter in the handle than I would personally like. it's still very functional, and you know, it's not like it's really giving me a huge amount of issues. But you know, since I live in an era with many different makers and models and everything of knives, then you know, I can be a little bit more picky about that sort of stuff. A little bit different than back in the days where, well, you wanted a folding knife, you got a buck 110. Or a little bit later, you could get the little bit shorter version, the 112 Ranger. Do you have to remember when putting it back together that the screws that actually hold the wood onto the liners are shorter? Yeah, that one's going to spin on me. Okay. No problem. I can fix that. There we go. Yeah, and that's probably, yeah, it's a little bit tighter than it really needs to be, but I will be putting Loctite in the pivot here in just a minute. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on here with the TS135 or 134 Shockwave. It's pretty darn, as I said, quintessentially Tepe design and appearance, and in ergonomics and all that sort of stuff, which is kind of cool. He does have a couple of collaborations with Night Morning Designs, and those are actually quite a bit larger. I have purchased those, and I'm waiting with bated breath for them to actually get here. Because, yeah, they're kind of fancy and expensive and whatnot. But that's not this particular knife. But, you know, it does at least involve the maker and all that sort of good stuff. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot else really I can go over with this. You know, everything is very nicely done. The Burl on it looks quite attractive, at least on this model. I do have another Tepe Designs in Burl that we will be taking a look at in a little bit. And it was the first of the two that I got. And, I mean, it's the same wood, but this one has much more visually nice figuring and everything going on compared to that one. So, yeah, these guys are nice. Fairly lightweight, not quite that ounce and inch thing, but, yeah, just right around there. And, yeah, if you really do like kind of a natural wood sort of thing, then, yeah, these guys are fantastic. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. And, well, I hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.